The gold rush is maybe the classic American story.
Schnabel is burning through $250,000 daily just to keep his gold operation alive in Gold Rush, even after he missed his gold target for the first time in 14 years. But Parker isn't the only one feeling the heat. Tony Beets is facing mining accidents, and Rick Ness's mining career might just end. With gold prices hitting record highs, the pressure has never been more intense. Things are changing, and everyone, including the show, might not survive what comes next. The new era of Gold Rush. Gold Rush premiered on Discovery Channel back in 2010, and for over a decade, millions of viewers have watched ordinary people risk everything in the frozen wilderness of Canada's Yukon Territory, hunting for gold. And while the cameras keep rolling, things have changed. Gold mining now is nothing like it was in 2010. It now costs more than ever in history to dig gold out of the ground. Fuel prices fluctuate wildly, and equipment costs have exploded. A single Caterpillar bulldozer that Parker bought cost him $1.2 million. Despite all of these costs, labor shortages plague the gold mining industry. Skilled miners, mechanics, and equipment operators are increasingly hard to find. And when miners do find them, they have to pay competitive wages and bonuses to keep them. There's also environmental regulations that are tightened every year. It is almost as if the government wants mining operations to shut down. Will this eventually be what would happen to Gold Rush? Will it get shut down? Despite all of these difficulties, gold prices soared in 2024, and while high prices mean massive opportunity, they also mean massive pressure. Because when gold hits record highs, everyone expects you to strike it rich. And if you don't deliver, the fall is brutal. Parker Schnabel knows this better than anyone. In November 2024, Parker Schnabel sat down for an interview with TV Insider and opened up about something he's rarely discussed publicly: the weight of constant failure. 2024 was the worst year of his career. For the first time since he started mining at 16 years old, and for the first time in the years Gold Rush has filmed him, Parker Schnabel missed his gold target. "I was definitely a little bit embarrassed by not hitting our goal last year. That's not something that's ever happened. It was definitely fairly off-putting. Embarrassed. That's the word he used. Not frustrated, not disappointed, embarrassed." So he came back to season 16 with something to prove and with an operating budget that would terrify most people. In his November 2025 interview with People magazine, Parker revealed he's now spending up to $250,000 per day to keep his mining operation running. Let's break that down. That's $1.75 million per week, $7 million per month. Over the course of a 6-month mining season, Parker could burn through $42 million. But where does all that money go? Parker runs 60 machines across his operations. He operates 4 separate wash plants simultaneously and employs a full crew of experienced miners, mechanics, and operators. According to reports, Parker pays his crew wages around $34 per hour, but he likely pays bonuses based on gold recovery. Is that enough payment for the dangers the crew face? Then there's fuel, and here is where things get a little crazy. In 2019, Parker revealed he spends $2 million per season just on diesel. That was 6 years ago. Now fuel costs have increased. How much does he actually spend? Then there is the part about equipment breaking down constantly with parts having to be flown in. Then there's the weather, which can be horrible at times and delay operations. The problem is, every week of delay costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. So sometimes Parker takes risks. His biggest gamble? Dominion Creek. In September 2023, during season 14 of the show, Parker wrote a $15 million check to purchase Dominion Creek, a historically gold-rich stretch of land in the Yukon. The potential payoff? 80,000 ounces of gold worth $160 million. Sounds incredible, right? It wasn't. Dominion Creek has been an absolute nightmare. Parker struggled with permafrost that wouldn't thaw, and equipment failures plagued his operation. His crew had extracted only 135 ounces over 4 weeks when they needed to be hitting 10,000 ounces. Things were catastrophically behind schedule. Parker even had to halt operations temporarily, something he's rarely done. In the December 27, 2024 special episode Expansion Mode, viewers watched him pour even more money into Dominion Creek. He got new equipment and new wash plants costing hundreds of thousands. all in a desperate bid to salvage the investment. But there's something else eating at Parker, something he doesn't talk about much on camera but is mentioned in interviews: the loneliness. Parker's been mining since he was 5 years old. He took over his grandfather's operation as a teenager. He's now 31, and while he's built a multi-million-dollar mining empire, he's sacrificed nearly everything else. In a 2024 interview with People magazine, Parker admitted he's struggling with dating. He rarely owns property outside his mining claims. The only house he owns came as part of the Dominion Creek deal. Then Parker made a resolution that kept fans on the edge of their seats. He said when Gold Rush ends, he plans to start a family. Does this mean the show will end soon? For now, the show keeps going, and season after season, Parker keeps mining because that's all he knows, and that's his greatest ambition. But with his revelation, one thing is certain. The clock is ticking for the show, or is Parker the one planning to leave? Tony Beets, the king under siege. If Parker is the ambitious young lion, Tony Beets is the grizzled king who's held the throne for decades. The king of the Klondike, as fans call him, has been mining the Yukon since long before Gold Rush existed. He's older now and more weathered, but even kings face challenges. Tony set an ambitious goal for himself in late 2025 for the show's season 16. He vowed to mine 6,500 ounces of gold worth over $22 million. With gold prices at record highs, the potential profit is staggering, but getting there requires everything to go right. Then immediately, things went wrong. One of Tony's $750,000 trucks flipped on a cliff edge. The driver, Graham, was trapped inside as the truck hung dangerously over a 200-foot drop. The crew broke the top window to pull him out, then used a dozer and excavator to stabilize the truck and prevent it from tumbling off the cliff. Nobody was seriously hurt, but Tony was down a truck, and equipment like that can't be replaced overnight. However, Tony wasn't out of danger yet, because then came the floods. The flooding was so bad that Tony shut down operations temporarily, costing precious time during the short Yukon mining season. With that shutdown, money was going down the drain. Despite these challenges, Tony's biggest challenge might not be equipment or weather. It might be family. Tony's been grooming his son Kevin Beets to eventually take over the operation. Kevin is in his second year as a mine boss, running his own crew at Scribner Creek. Like his father, Kevin also set an ambitious goal for himself. He was going to mine 2,000 ounces, double what he mined in 2024. But there's tension. Parker Schnabel poached one of Kevin's best crew members, Brennan Rouault, right out from under him. Brennan had worked for Kevin for years. Then he walked into Kevin's office, broke the news, and left to join Parker's crew. Kevin and his partner Faith were stunned. Kevin even joked they should go poaching too. But the damage was done. Losing experienced crew members during the tight mining season can derail an entire operation. And Tony? He's caught between supporting his son and maintaining his own operation, because if Kevin fails, it reflects on the Beets family empire. There's also the question of age. Tony has been mining for decades. He's not young anymore. While the show hasn't confirmed his exact age, it's clear he's relying more on his family, his sons Mike and Kevin, daughter Monica, to keep operations running. How much longer can Tony maintain this pace? How long before the physical and financial toll becomes too much? Fans speculate about Tony's future constantly, but so far Tony keeps showing up, season after season. Still, there's a sense that time is catching up to the king of the Klondike, and when the crown becomes too heavy to wear, what happens next? Who becomes the next king? Would it be Parker, or would it be someone else? Rick Ness. The comeback that might not happen. Rick started as a crew member on Parker Schnabel's team before striking out on his own in 2018. He's faced financial ruin multiple times. He has even battled depression and drug addiction, which he's been open about in interviews. In 2023, Rick took a break from the show to focus on his mental health. Fans worried he might never return. But he came back in 2024 with renewed determination and a plan to secure his future. Rick wanted to own land, so he made a deal to purchase Duncan Creek, a claim in the Yukon with massive potential. The price? 250 ounces of gold. By 2025, Rick made his final payment. Duncan Creek was his, and for the first time in his mining career, Rick Ness owned the ground he was working. It should have been the moment where everything finally came together. But then the Yukon Water Board crushed his dreams. On November 18, 2024, the Yukon Water Board denied Rick's application for a new water license at Duncan Creek. Without a water license, Rick legally cannot mine the land. It doesn't matter that he owns it. He can't touch it. Why was his application denied? The board said Rick's proposed operating plan was unrealistic. He wanted to undertake reclamation activities across 96 new grants and 99 existing grants. The board determined it was impossible to complete that much work within the license term. They also noted that Rick admitted that at first he would focus primarily on existing cuts and ongoing regulatory processes, which made them skeptical of his timeline. The rejection was devastating. He'd already made major investments in Duncan Creek. He bought a new 750 excavator and built up his crew. As if that wasn't trouble enough, then came another disaster. Rick made a costly mistake. He invested $150,000 in a new pump for his monster red wash plant. But how is this something bad? Rick bought the wrong pump. He needed a pressure pump but bought a volume pump instead. The equipment didn't work and his wash plant couldn't operate. $150,000 wasted. Fortunately, Rick found a workaround. He revised his approach, used different methods, and eventually managed to recover. He even managed to pull in nearly $1 million worth of gold at the time, but the error cost him precious time. And in gold mining, time is money. Rick is doing his best to push through. But will his best be enough? After that 2024 mess and advice from Parker and Tony, Rick decided to pursue mining at Lightning Creek instead of Duncan Creek. It's a strategic move. If he can't mine Duncan Creek legally, he needs to find gold somewhere else, fast. The question is whether Rick can keep his head above water long enough to turn things around. Because one more major setback, one more denied license, one more equipment failure, and Rick Ness might be done for good. Can Rick do it? The real threat, the cost of modern gold mining. Mining is a costly business and mining companies worldwide are feeling the pressure. Smaller operations can't survive the rising costs and even the big players with deep pockets that can weather the storm are struggling. The good part is gold price is at a record high and in 2024 97% of primary gold production remained profitable. But that means 3% of operations are losing money even with record high gold prices. Think about that. With gold at all-time highs, 3% of mines still can't turn a profit. What happens when gold prices inevitably drop? That's the nightmare scenario everyone fears but nobody talks about. Because gold prices are cyclical. They rise, they fall, they rise again. Right now, prices are high due to global uncertainty, economic instability, and investor demand for safe haven assets. But what happens when the economic situation stabilizes? When investors shift away from gold? At current cost levels, a drop in gold prices would be catastrophic. Mines operating on thin margins would shut down overnight. Companies would go bankrupt. Miners would lose everything. And the miners on Gold Rush aren't immune. They're small-scale operators compared to massive mining conglomerates. They don't have billion-dollar reserves to fall back on. When Parker spends $250,000 per day, that's coming out of his pocket. If the gold doesn't flow, he loses everything. That's why gold feels different. There's a desperation underneath the optimism. Everyone knows the window is closing. Gold prices won't stay this high forever, and when they drop, only the strongest will survive. And that's why some fans think the show will end, but it is not only this reason that's pushing fans to think the show will end. Why fans think the show is ending. So what are the other reasons? Cast changes play a big role. Rick Ness left for season 14 to deal with personal issues. Fans feared he was gone forever, but he returned for season 15. Similarly, rumors circulate about Tony Beets retiring or leaving the show, but Tony keeps showing up. Another factor is the length of the series. Gold Rush has been on the air since 2010, 15 seasons, over 400 episodes. That's a long run for any reality show. Fans assume it has to end eventually. But here's the reality. Gold Rush Season 16 premiered on November 7, 2025. Production wrapped during the 2025 mining season, which runs from May through September. The show is absolutely continuing. Discovery Channel hasn't announced cancellation. Ratings remain strong. Millions of viewers tune in every week. The show spawned multiple spin-offs, including Gold Rush, Parker's Trail, Gold Rush Whitewater, and Gold Rush Dave Turin's Lost Mine. So why do fans keep worrying? Because they see the struggles. They watch Parker burn through $250,000 per day. They see Rick's water license denied. They watch Tony's trucks flip on cliffs. They witness the exhaustion, the frustration, the mounting costs. And they wonder, how long can this last? The truth is, Gold Rush isn't ending anytime soon, but it is changing. The show evolves with each season. New miners appear, old miners leave, operations shift, storylines adapt. What fans are really sensing isn't the end of the show, it's the end of an era. The golden age of Gold Rush, where costs were manageable and margins were healthy, is over. We're entering a new phase, a harder phase, a phase where only the most skilled, most financially secure, most adaptable miners survive. Parker, Tony, and Rick are all at critical junctures. Their decisions in the next few seasons will determine whether they thrive or disappear, and that's what makes this latest season so compelling. This isn't just drama for TV, these are real stakes. The show will continue, but not everyone will make it through what comes next. What the future of Gold Rush looks like. So where does Gold Rush go from here? The industry is evolving rapidly and new technology is transforming gold mining. There is AI-driven exploration, autonomous equipment, and renewable energy integration, all of it designed to reduce costs and improve efficiency. These tech help reduce labor costs. Maybe it'll help the labor shortage and miners wouldn't have to poach employees from each other. Also, this new tech will help environmental impact and make recovering gold easier. It will be cool to see these new tech on the show. Or what do you think? However, the miners on Gold Rush aren't running massive corporate operations with billion-dollar budgets. They're small-scale operators using traditional methods. They dig, process, and recover. It's hands-on, labor-intensive, and expensive. Can Parker, Tony, and Rick adapt to this new technological landscape, or will they be left behind? What seems certain is this: the old model of gold mining is dying. The era where you could show up with basic equipment, dig some holes, and make a fortune is over. Modern gold mining requires massive capital investment, sophisticated technology, regulatory compliance, and expert management. The miners who survive will be the ones who adapt, who invests wisely, who manages costs ruthlessly, who builds sustainable operations instead of chasing quick payoffs. Parker has the financial resources and business acumen to make it, but his $15 million gamble on Dominion Creek has to pay off, or he's in serious trouble. Tony has the experience and the family support, but age and the physical toll of decades of mining are working against him. Can his family be the game changer for him? Rick has the determination and the comeback story, but does he have the resources to adapt? What do you think? Let's chat about in the comments and subscribe so you don't miss out on videos on your favorite shows.